I'll say this nice, tell it in a letter, stamp and mail it out. We did our best, couldn't have done better, I think we should be proud. But you held me down when I was living up, back and forth but never together. So I'll stand up and walk out and make my way alone for now. Holy as a ghost, heavy as a feather, pure as the driven snow. But watch your back, it's heartbreak weather, I think it's time you go. My mind's made up, my mind's made up. We keep doing this but nothing's getting better. So I'll stand up and walk out and make my way alone for now. Say you'll find yours in time, but I'm not sure what's yours and what's mine.
Welcome to Dreamland, episode 4, where we get to celebrate, commemorate, and recap Minnesota's inaugural Walter Cup Championship of 2024. This, I kind of now feel, is the moment you've all been waiting for, because now we get to actually look back on the actual run to the cup. Yeah. The first three were kind of like your build-up, your pre-lash, if you will. Now we get to really talk about it. Now, Lady, you on the last show kind of alluded that a part of us knew Toronto was going to take us. Yeah, I mean, all of us basically felt we don't want Toronto to choose us, but it was most likely going to choose. Now, Toronto had a good track record against every playoff team that qualified last year. And I think if Montreal was not protected, I think they would have gone for Montreal. Because in Montreal, it was a clean sweep. It was. They won every game against Montreal last year. I think it would have been a clean sweep. And it would be the tactic that we were thinking of doing if we got the right to do, because we would have chosen Ottawa, which would have forced Toronto and Montreal to play in the playoffs. That would eliminate one main rival for the cup out of the picture, and we didn't have to then go up against the other. Yeah. It's a smart tactic. Yeah, it's something that teams should think of going forward. But why do you think they're going to go for the easy route this year, Montreal? Well, but we'll see if it is Montreal in a few weeks' time. Because obviously we're recording this before during the championship break. Yeah. And I remember the day of when it was going to be announced who Troy was going to choose, I was like, pick Boston, pick Boston, pick Boston, pick Boston! But that would have meant we would have played Montreal. And I didn't fancy our chances against Montreal. Well, neither you did. But we had a better chance against Montreal than we did against Toronto, because we did win more games against Montreal than Toronto last year. Yeah, but none in Montreal. We didn't win any in Toronto. Look what happened there. Exactly. Well, put that there. Well said. Well, put that there. Absolutely. Yeah. So, following the conclusion of the inaugural regular season, the top 4 teams in the PWHL all qualified to the World Cup playoffs. Toronto as the inaugural World Cup champions, followed by Montreal, who were in second place. And then Boston and Minnesota both qualifying with the exact same number of points of 35 each. But the tiebreaker broke in favour of Boston. I tried to work out what it was, but I couldn't, so don't ask me to explain it. But the tiebreaker broke in favour of Boston, which meant they finished third, and Minnesota qualified as the 4th seed. Which I think is pretty much lucky, given what happened in that final stretch after the championship break that year. So, As the league champions, Toronto had the right to choose its opponent for the semi-finals between the third place team and the fourth place team. So they had a choice between Boston and Minnesota. And on the 5th of May, it was confirmed that Toronto had indeed selected Minnesota. And oh, did we feel deflated. Yeah. Which meant the other semi-final, which we will mention briefly on the next show, just to remind you how Boston got into the finals. The other semi-final was between Montreal and Boston. If you go back to Toronto Cheesy Girls, we just felt deflated. Well, we come into these playoffs as the fourth place team will be really should have been the first place or the second place team. Right, we're running a 5-game regulation game losing streak. Did we really rate our chances high? Nah, I bet a lot of people when Toronto made its choice, I thought, yeah, they're going for the easy route. They're going for the easy route. They now look at us and think we're easy picking and it should be an easy way to get into the finals. Toronto felt that I bet they just felt they should have won it all last year. Well, they rode an 11-game winning streak during the regular season, which is not easy to do in what was a 24-game season, and it's proved to be really difficult this year in a 30-game season. We haven't really seen that many big win streaks this year. Now, I mean, the Big 12 was the biggest we've seen. They had about 6 or 7 games before we snapped it. But yeah, so I feel like this year teams have been able to tighten up in areas a bit more, and so multi-win streaks like we saw Toronto last year, I feel are less likely going forward. Until we then grow to like a 14, 16 team league. Yes, exactly like that. Yeah, we just completely filled the play. I mean, Toronto choosing us, it meant we were going to be starting the playoffs in Toronto. We didn't have that much time to prepare then, did we? Because obviously we didn't know if A, we were going to get in, and B, if we did, who we were going to face. But we knew it was not like we were going to be going on the road. Yeah. And I can't imagine what they must have gone through thinking that. I mean, you know, you don't know if you got in. Now you do get in. You don't know who you're facing. Because like, how do you then prepare your game plan, your strategies? Yeah, what you need to then put on the road. Yeah, it's not a wise system, is it? No. I mean, it's something unique, but the playoffs started immediately after the regular season last year, whereas this year you've got it's May 3rd, the last day of the regular season this year, and then the World Cup playoffs don't begin until May 6th. So that means the league champion has got more time to prepare for its third-bar opponent than Toronto did last year. Now, which means whoever this year's league champions takes, that means that team will then have more chance to prepare rather than what we had last year, which was next to no time at all. We just literally just get on that plane and just head to Toronto and just base it. So, I also did on the last show these playoffs, but these two were going to be a completely different kettle of fish. Because the World Cup playoffs were 2 rounds. Both a semi-final and the World Cup playoffs. Both of them were best of 5 series. That means you just need to win 3 games and you move on to the next round. Now, I'm familiar with this kind of series because obviously in the Calder Cup playoffs in the American Hockey League, the first 2 rounds are division heavy and it's all about best of 5s. So, in the American Hockey League, the Calder Cup playoffs is just like the Stanley Cup. It's 4 rounds, but the first 2 rounds are based on your division. And maybe this is what the NHL needs to do. They're so desperate to keep hold of divisional playoffs. Really is what the NHL needs to do. So, the first round is called the Division Semi-Finals. The second round is the Division Finals, and they are both best of 5s. The winners of the Division Finals from both conferences face off in the Conference Finals. That's a best of 7. Then you get the Calder Cup Finals, which of course is the best of 7. So, I had plenty of years of experience, because I've been with the Stars of America since day 1 in 2015, so that's 10 years ago now. So going into these World Cup playoffs, I had 9 years of experience of Calder Cup playoffs in the bank. So I could basically talk these two through how this was going to work. Because obviously were not used to it. You just used to the best of sevens. So, going into this series for Toronto, I basically said to you guys, try and lift the mood. I said the ideal thing to do would be to come away with a split. So we get one win, they get one win. Because that meant the series would then come back to Minnesota game 3, tied at 1 apiece, and then if they can somehow find a way to get game 3, which they did, but if they can somehow find a way to get game 3 in their belts, that would mean they would have the series lead. We just need one more win, no problem. Idea in a best of 5, you don't, especially if you're on the road, you do not want to go down 2-0 straight away, because you are then basically playing desperation hockey for the rest of the series, because you would then need to win 3 in a row to stay alive. And it is doable. It is doable. We've seen it plenty of times before. Well, I've seen it plenty of times before on YouTube. I've seen it plenty of times before in the Walter Cup playoffs, where teams in the division semis and division wise, it's more go down 2-0 in the series, and then they come back, they force the game 5, and then they go on to then win game 5. In fact, we had one of those last season. It was Milwaukee. They were down 2-0 against Texas, and then they found a way to come back, and they won it, and then of course went all the way to the Western Conference Finals for the second year in a row. But lost to Coachella Valley for the second year in a row. But Coachella Valley then lost to Hershey in the finals for the second year in a row. So it all works out fine there, boys and girls. Yeah. So, what were you two feeling going into the start of this playoff series? Like that, yeah. I'm actually trying to struggle to remember how we were going into it last year. It's going to be hard because obviously Toronto had not been a great place for us last year. We got no wins in the regular season, and every time we went out to Toronto, we got roundly spanked. So I think it would have been a miracle we had got a win there in those first 2 games, given how, just how much momentum that team was going to have. Yeah. I think the only saving grace was it was a different venue. So Toronto moved venues. They had a venue switch. Now, I knew that this was going to happen eventually. Yeah. Because we saw it for Toronto last season. That market literally sold out every single game. I don't know what the PWHL was thinking when they said, Toronto, you go and play in the Athletic Centre. It's not big. It was not big enough. No. It was not big enough. It was tiny. It was cramped. I think it only could fit about 2,000 people. So was that an underestimation of how well Toronto was going to do when we know how big of a... Oh, ladies' face at a shock of 2,000! That's again. It's my small mum. Someone's not looking forward to it. But so was that an underestimation of how the league thought Toronto was going to do? I mean, they sold out all their games way before the season started. So you just knew Toronto was going to show up for level support. Exactly. And I just kept praising them last year. Because, to be able to do that in the inaugural season. Brilliant. And it shows that at least one market... Not going to name it. We're not naming Shane today. But it shows at least one market was up for this and was committed to this. Yeah. But I just remember last season thinking, what? Every time we played Toronto thinking, why are we playing in this building? It's too small. They need to be in a bigger building. But I just couldn't figure out where they could go. Because obviously Maple Leafs was not going to be an option. Yeah. So I was just trying to think, where else could they go? So, before the playoffs began, it was announced that Toronto was going to be playing all its home games of the playoffs in Coca-Cola Coliseum, which is the home of the Toronto Marlies. And I thought, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. It's a great facility. It can hold at least 8,000 people, so bigger already, and it's more of a practical arena for a pro hockey team rather than what Slippers win. So, just brilliant. And they also sold out flat. They did. They did. They sold it out flat like a Pepsi Max. sorry, why is it whenever I go to the theatre, the only form of Pepsi to do is Pepsi Max? It's horrible! It tastes like flat! Oh. What's wrong with having a Diet Coca-Cola? That's fine. We've got... Drink that by the gallons. You know, just seriously. It's like... It's every theatre in my hometown Manchester just does Pepsi Max. It's not a nice drink. It's horrible. It tastes flat. Which means I don't have to then get put on bottled water. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so let's get into it. Right, let's get into it. I think we're going a little bit off piece, Yeah, so Coca-Cola would host games 1, 2, and if we needed it, game 5. And the Excel Air Centre would guaranteed get game 3, would also host game 4 if we need it, because in the best of 5 series, the game 4 is not always guaranteed, because it is possible for a sweep to happen. Yeah, it is possible. It's very rare. It's very rare these days in NHL that does happen, but it is possible. Yeah. So the best part is if you have to host get game 4, you always have to put an asterisk by that because you do not know if you're going to get it for sure. Yeah, you do not know. So in game 1, the starting netminder was Nicole Hensley. She got the start. Now, was this the right move? Well, it's very hard when you had an outstanding tandem. Who in this situation like this, who do you give it to? Normally in the playoffs, we see it a lot. We see it a lot in the NHL years. Normally, each team has like one star netminder they can trust, and that'd be the guy for the entire run. Yeah, and anyone else would hardly get a look in. Yeah, absolutely true. We see it plenty of times. Yeah, so I think it was the right call. Yeah, and depending on how she does, you give her game 2, or you put Rooney in, and then you can decide who's the better one for game 3. Yeah, so you could. We were fine with it. Yeah, we were fine. We were fine. Basically, given the situation we're in, Ken Cleary basically had to put her, but he felt he could trust the net and just roll with it. Exactly, just roll with it. Yeah. Now, unfortunately for the team, their end of season struggles continued into the playoffs, and they fell 4-0. Yeah, it was not pretty. It was not pretty. It was not pretty because he basically had to just sit there and just roll with it. Yeah. And it was just like another regular season game in Toronto. Yeah. Different board, same outcome. We got spanked again. I'm not sure how I feel about you using that word. Too late now. We're 4 episodes in. No. Right. So 48 hours later for game 2, and for me, this was must win. For me, I don't know about you two, but for me, this was must win. Because, like I said, I did not want to go back to Minnesota being down 2-0. I did, especially against a team like Toronto. I did not. I did not want to do that. So to me, this was a must win. So when I heard Maddie Rooney was going to get the start, I was like, brilliant. Brilliant. Like you said, lady, give them both a chance in the first 2 games, and then you work out who's the better one to put in for game 3. Brilliant. I had no point. And actually, the switch worked. Yeah, the switch actually did work. Because you did, actually, in game 2, you actually saw a difference. The team actually played a lot better in game 2 than they did in game 1. And you kind of felt they deserved to get this win. Yeah. You kind of felt that. They played a whole lot better. But unfortunately, a late dagger from Toronto, and it came really late in the period. It came really late in regulation. It was a late dagger, and that basically killed the momentum. Yeah. As Toronto would get another shutout, 2-0, and they took a commanding series lead. Now, 2-0 lead in a best of 5 is what you would call commanding, okay? So if you're not familiar with those series, it is a commanding lead, because basically it means that for the team trailing, you are now put in a do-or-die situation. You are now basically the team that's got to play nothing left to lose. And as we've already mentioned in this league, when we've seen teams play with nothing left to lose, oh boy, do they bring it. Yeah. Oh, do they bring it. Yeah. So the question was, how are we going to cope with it? Yeah. Now, I would not blame anybody after game 2 for thinking, oh my god, we're a 2-0 series hole. There's only one more loss and then we're out. I wouldn't blame anybody for starting to think the doom and gloom. And think, okay, well, do you know what? It's been great. We got to the playoffs at least. At least we can say that, unlike Ottawa and New York. Yeah. So at least we can say we got to the playoffs. I wouldn't have had a problem if anybody thought that. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah. It's the first season. We can have that side. But for me, I was like, well, actually, hang on. If we get game 3 and then take game 4, it's back in business. It's back in business. And this is where that many years of experience. This is why, boys and girls, you should watch minor league hockey. You learn something. You learn something. It's educational. Go on, Plug. What I was going to say, this is where your many years of being with the Barracuda were going to come into handy. Because you have obviously been in those positions before. So you know what to have gone through. So you could then say to us, right, well, actually. And you basically did have to spend the rest of this series trying to talk us out of it. Because I think we were kind of, doom and gloom. I don't recall you saying we're definitely going to get knocked out. No, but we were on the brink. We were kind of like, oh my god, they're going to win this series, aren't they? Yep, probably. We might not have to stretch to 4. I remember that. I remember you two saying we could stretch it to game 4, just so we can then get both playoff games in Minnesota. But I don't recall you two saying it's definitely going to be a best of 5. I don't recall you two saying that. Yeah, but we were kind of at this point deflated because it was just like, well, what do you do? We're 2-0 down the series. No, we haven't managed to get a goal past Toronto yet. What do we do? Honestly, what do we do? And so you basically had to spend the rest of this series just being like pep talking. Had to pep talk for St. Paul. Yeah. Just yeah, tough one. It was not pretty. It was not pretty. So, game 3 rolls around on May 13th. The series shifts to Minnesota. In what is now basically do or die situation. Nothing left to lose. Maddie Rooney gets the start for this game. Now, what do you two make of her getting the start for this game? Right call. Yeah, right call. Because basically he did what you were suggesting, Kensley did what you suggested, lady, which was basically you give them both a shot in both games in Toronto, and then you work out, of those 2 games, who was the better one and got the better chance to get us the win in game 3. And Maddie Rooney was that chance. Yeah. I don't think it... not to be discrediting to Nicole Hensley, but I think it would not have been the right call you put Hensley in for this game, for game 3. You had to give Rooney the chance to go for the win, because she could have done it. She gave us a chance to win that game, game 2. It's just that late goal that Toronto got was the dagger, and there's honestly any hope. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Marie gets started for game 3. And it was Minnesota's turn to be on the right side of a shutout victory, as Minnesota won this game 2-0, with Maggie Flaherty getting the first ever playoff goal in Minnesota team history. Now, at this point, we were starting to notice some patterns in these World Cup playoffs, didn't we? Who wants to do it? I'll go. Okay. Yeah, we started to notice some patterns. In our semi, the winning team wins the shutout. In the other semi, all of them have gone to overtime. Yep. That's the Montreal fans thinking, why are you bringing that up? Ooh, is that voodoo? Oh, that's morbid, lady. It's all well. Play on the last show mentioned about your preservation ceremony. Well, there you go. Yes, the whole world now knows what's going to happen when I die. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. So, yeah, it was weird though. Yeah, very spooky. Very spooky, which did make you wonder when we actually get to the World Cup finals, was there going to be any weird spooky voodoos there? Yeah, well, still a way to go. There's still a way to go before I got there, lady. Yeah, still a long way to go. Yeah. Because by that point, do we know when Boston clinched? Should I go look it up? No, okay, no. Because I could go grab my phone. No, okay. Oh, actually, no, I've still got the episode plan from last year's playoff show, so I can do that real quickly. Yeah. Just in case there are any Fleet fans watching and listening to the show. Don't know why they would be, given how they're not going to want to watch the next episode. Yeah, why are you torturing yourself? I know. If any of our Fleet fans are watching this, why are you torturing yourselves? Stop. Cut the insanity now. Yes, there is. The playoff show will be coming back this year. It's going to be a staple feature regardless of what happens to Minnesota. Yeah, so there we go. Okay, so Boston's sweep of Montreal was completed on the... I've not put dates down. But I have still got the episode plan, the game recaps on. So we can just open up the game recap. Oh no, it's saying page not fat. Oh, never mind. In fact, see, we're on the PHL website anyway. Let's It doesn't. I said, does it matter? No. And you guys said no. Now you will. Well, you then went and got the episode plans up. Yeah, well, that's spooky. They're now not pages not found. Only a year ago. But for this year's the episode plan, you need to put the dates as well. Then. Oh, you're telling me how to run my show now, are you? We represent we did each episode. Sorry, not episode. In each game for the episode. Right, here it is. He said, I'll try and click the link to it. Yeah, down. Ah, May 14th. Right. So the day after we win Game 3, to keep up what was at the time very slim hopes alive, Boston completed the sweep over Montreal. So, we move on to Game 4. We move on to Game 4, which would take place... Did I put it on the notes, or did I not? Yes, Game 4 took place 2 days later. And again, PWHL Minnesota tried to avoid facing elimination. And it was a right royal battle this time. Yeah. Neither side could find the back of the net in regulation. And can I say, this was the tightest one of the whole series so far. Not even Game 2. No. Because obviously Toronto then won it outright. Even though it was late in the throw. Okay. Whereas in this was the most tightest game of the whole series so far. And you could see, because both sides wanted it so badly. Toronto wanted to get the win and guarantee themselves that they would get home advantage for the finals. we wanted to win it to avoid getting eliminated. So I felt, yeah, but then doesn't Game 4 the Walter Cup Finals felt like that? It did in a way. Yeah, it did in a way, yeah, but that's a completely different reason. Yeah, we'll come to that. Yeah. Oh, we will come to that. Yeah. But it's odd how Game 4 of both series felt like a really critical game, and it was. But I felt the toughest one was it. Okay. And for these two sides, it would be a taste of overtime. So it's like, oh no. Yeah, brace yourselves! Montreal, any tips? Lady! That is unacceptable! Yeah, why are you asking them? Why are you asking Boston? Boston! How do we do it? How do we get away overtime? Honestly, that was unacceptable. That was we're getting Big 12 fans now coming for us now. That was unacceptable. That was not on. So it would go to double overtime. So oh bloody hell. And Claire Bunarak gets the game winner, which forced Game 5 in Toronto. So, before we come to Game 5, I want to ask you two a question. And you need to think about it in terms of Toronto's perspective. Okay. After Game 2, did we think Toronto's fans thought they would be coming back to Coca Coliseum for Game 5? No. They clearly would have felt, after Game 2, like the cats that got the cream. They would have easily thought, that's it, we're going to win. The next time we're going to be here, it's going to be the World Cup Finals, where we'll either face Montreal or Boston. Yeah. Yes, because if Toronto had won this semi-final, because they were the league champions, they would have still held on to home ice advantage. Yeah, I kind of felt, if you were Toronto after Game 2, you'd think, okay, next time we're here, it's going to be for the World Cup Finals. Making history. Yeah. And they probably would think, we're going to win it. Yeah. Because Toronto was a very dominant team in the regular season. Yeah. But I just wanted to ask that question to try and get context. Yeah. Because I had felt, well, there's no reason to say it can't happen. The question is, how likely would it be that it does happen? Yeah. Because even though I had to keep trying to be the one of the trio that had to keep pet talking and say, well, there's a chance it might happen, we could win Game 3, then who knows, we get Game 4, and then we force Game 5, and it all tends to, winner takes all, yeah. Does a Game 5, the best of 5 series, feel like a Game 7, the best of 7 series? I'm not sure it has that kind of magnitude. I mean, you are very aware of the situation equation in that, okay, this is where you need to leave it all on the line, and if you do not win this game, that is it, you are on the golf course for the rest of the season. But I don't think a Game 5 of the best of 5 series kind of has the same weight that a Game 7 was. Yeah. Just because we know from experience, best of 7 series are more taxing, they are more they are more relentless, they are more stressful. Yeah. Whereas the best of 5, it's kind of like a breeze, because it goes quickly. Especially if you do what we did and get all 5 games. It actually goes quite quickly. Yeah. So it doesn't really, so Game 5, it doesn't really have the same magnitude, but you are very much aware about how if you don't win this, that's it, your season is done. And you'll spend the rest of your season going, what could have been? Yeah. Absolutely. So, we go back to Coca Coliseum for what was, in Toronto's eyes, an unexpected and unlikely Game 5. But hey, Toronto, this is playoff hockey. Anything can happen. If you haven't learned by now, then what are you doing here? So the winner takes all Game 5 was held in Toronto on the 17th of May. And this was where one side finally found dominance. As Peter was mentioning in Game 4, a very tightly fought contest. Game 5 was where one side finally came out the gate swinging. And luckily for us, it will be Minnesota. And what a game this was. They took control from the get-go. They got 2 power play goals, and they got an assist from Taya Heisey. She came alive at the right time. She had been sort of rarely quiet in the series, and you were kind of waiting for when she gonna step up. Exactly. First overall draft pick, her brilliant regular season, despite getting snubbed for the MVP award. Oh, come on, lady. We all knew who was winning that award last year. Let's face it. We only got 1 nomination last year. That was Rookie of the Year. Well, at least we got nominated. Look at Ottawa. Look at poor Ottawa. Ottawa didn't get a single nomination last year. I'm just saying that. Well, those awards were a complete farce because they only took into account the regular season. They didn't take into account the past. If they did take into account the past, then Courtney Castle and Erin Frankel have both won their respective categories. Just saying. Yeah. I absolutely, when it got to the awards season, gave Boston their flowers. Because, yes, even though we had a really, really tough, tightly fought Walter Cup Finals with them, I felt Boston played really well in that game. I felt some of their players deserved to get the recognition that they could have deserved. But, unfortunately, alas, I decided to get the awards. Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, Potato High C came alive at exactly the right time. Yeah. The right time. Yeah. She stepped up. She needed to step up, and she did. She stepped to the plate and helped power her team into the World Cup finals, completing both the reverse sweep and upset over the league champion. Because even though for 3/4 of the regular season, Minnesota was up there with Toronto and Montreal as cup contender, this was still a shock. Oh yeah. This was still a shock. Because going into this to start the series, you look at the 2 sides. Toronto, league champions, you say it, spanked everyone's arses. Literally, in Montreal's case, literally, well and truly spanked in 6s. Yeah, they just dominated. Whereas for us, started off strong, faltered in the World Championships, and only got in because Ottawa lost their last game. I won't blame them for thinking, well, it's going to be Toronto, isn't it? It's going to be Toronto, right? Toronto's going to win this, right? Toronto in 3, 4 maybe at most. Yeah. But yeah, so this actually, in the eyes of a lot of people, was a shock. Yeah. Because nobody saw this coming. Especially after we get to the end of game 2, and we go down to 2-0 the series. A lot of people at that point will pretty much have wrote us off. Yeah. I wouldn't blame them. Would not blame them for it. I did not, because I had the experience of the Walter Cup playoffs in my bag, which I was able to give to these 2, and it was all fine. But, whew. What a first. Yeah. Just incredible to get that adversity. It was just such an amazing feeling. And we should point out that was the next set of tears. Yes. We mentioned on the last episode that we did cry when we found out the news we got in. And then the moment Game 5 ended, instead of celebrating, which you should do, the 3 of us were just in complete floods of tears. Because, you know, it was only a few days ago. What was it, 4 days ago? May 13, May 17? It was only 4 days ago. We're going to Game 3. And knowing full well if we lose, that's it. We're done for the year. Yeah. So, we just... I don't think we actually believed it had happened. That we actually got through it. We'd done the reverse sweep. And we were going to go and play in the first ever Walter Cup Finals. I just don't think it really did. We just couldn't believe it, and we were completely tears. Also, Taya Heisey's post-game interview. Oh, that just made it even more emotional, Rex! Yeah, that was just... That, for me, is one of my favourite post-game interviews from last year. Somebody please go and find it and send it to me. Email the show's... Email Purple Rain's email. Find it for me. Because it was a beautiful piece of as a post-game interview, and I just felt that is what... It was just quite well. Yeah, so that has it as a wreck. Plus, for me, I then had a bit of a flashback moment in this I then got kind of then flashbacks to 8 years ago at the time in 2016 when my Sharks beat the St. Louis Blues in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals to advance to the Stanley Cup Final. And I just remember at the time just being complete jubilation. You partied. Was that the right thing for me to do? Well, no, we said party. The whole pack said, right, enjoy this moment, party. Because as soon as game one of the final starts, it's going to be hard work and it's going to be a lot of stress. You didn't mention how much stress it was! Yeah, you just couldn't cope at all in those finals. Yeah. I know. Well, in that run, we only had one convincing series that was against you two. Because Nashville took us all the way to the brink in Game 7. It was basically... Oh my god. That Nashville series was a complete nightmare for me. Because it's basically the home team kept winning the game. So luckily for us, we had home advantage. And then with Louis... It was kind of tough the first few games. We didn't really get our footing until I think Game 4, 5. Probably Game 5. Yeah, so this was a team that couldn't work out what was it going to be like if it was to get to the finals. Yeah. Right, but I remember the entire pack basically saying to you, right, enjoy this moment. Because when the final starts, it's going to be completely different. It's like everything you've seen before. And you're not going to handle the stress. No. Now, you two, of course, have had plenty of cup finals of the Kings. Does it get any better the more time your team makes the final? Well, I think it depends if you have a cup in the bank or not. For us two in 2014, we already had that cup in the bank, so for us it was kind of fine. Yeah. Plus, we couldn't believe we got in. No. I think a lot of people are still fuming that it was not Chicago, New York, because it would have been an original 6 matchup. You would have had Long Crispy Kane, and we played spoiler. Yeah, but I think you deserved it. We need to come back 3 times in 3 different series to force Game 7. I think you two at the end of the day had to earn it. So I was like, do you know what? It got spoiled. I was like, do you know what? Take the cup. I don't care. I don't care. Give me a circle. I was just have it. Have it. You've earned it. And of course, we haven't either in this pack, so he was also like, get that cup off away from you, Rangers. So yeah, I think when the Sharks go back, I think you'll handle it a lot better because you have had 2016 experience and you'll be able to handle it a little bit better. Plus, you've had the Frost now in the World Cup RC because you've had that well. Yeah, but different though. But I remember being taken back to 2016 because I remember. Okay, yes, there's a chance we might not win the Stanley Cup final, and the 2016 finals are still going to plague me forever until we win the cup, because Game 2. If Game 2 had gone our way and everything else happened the way it did, then we would have forced Game 7, we go back to Pittsburgh, and given the Sharks' track record in Game 7s, that cup would have been paid to you. Just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah. But that still plagues me to this day. Have you got any lovely memories of the finals? Game 3. Of course. Game 3. Not because of Donskoy's winning goal, but just that pre-game that we did, which I still watch back every now and then to this day, after almost a decade on. It was just so brilliant. The hype was it was just that pre-game that we did. Amazing. Yeah. Just, yeah. Yeah, so for me, it was kind of like 2016 over again. So if we win, great. But if not, at least we can say we've gone to the finals. And of course, it's going to be the first ever World Cup final. And that also did thing. I was like, hold on, we've not just booked a place in the finals. We've booked a place in the first ever World Cup finals. Let that sink in for me, boys and girls. Just let that sink in for a moment. Like, first time ever. We're going to be in the first ever finals. Huge moment. Huge moment. Especially how I'll mention it more on the next one, but I will quickly say, especially given how this finals matchup nobody would have saw coming. Which I think made it even more sweeter, but you're right, we can talk more about it start the next show, yeah. The next show, yeah. But yeah, just but we didn't get that long of a rest though. No, and do we all mention that in the next show, or should we mention it now? We can quickly reference it and I'll go in more detail in the next show. Okay. So, during Game 5 of the semi-final, the schedules for the Walter Cup finals came out, and Game 1 was scheduled for 48 hours after Game 5. Now, for whoever won, that's not enough time to recover. Now, do you think the league thought Toronto was going to win? How clearly they thought Toronto was going to win! Why would they schedule it for 48 hours later they didn't think Toronto was going to win? They absolutely were showing bias. I would have thought maybe do the May 20. That would have been better. Got turned up. That would have been better. Oh yeah, that would have been a whole lot better. You do May 20. Gives whoever wins a chance to actually properly recover. To get like a day or 2 days off. Yeah. And then prepare. Because obviously we had to then travel to Boston. Yes, because Boston would get home advantage. We'll talk more about it next time. So yeah, but you were fuming. Oh, he was. He was. And rightly so. Rightly so. And that also might have had a bit of an impact on how Game 1 went the way it did in the Hot Fast. But we can talk more about it on the next show, because that's what the next show is going to be about. Our final show, we should say, which will of course cover that finals in a whole, and always it eventful double series. Yeah, but how incredible was this semi-final? We can't do it best. Yeah, U2's first ever reverse sweep. Or do you class 2014? I think you have to class 2014. Really, you think they do exist in the NHL? Yeah, I think. Okay, fine. I don't think I've ever heard in all the years we've been in Bowl League. I don't think I've ever heard broadcasters in the first refer to what happened in reverse sweeps in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But if you two will claim that, I won't stop you. Yeah. Honestly, this was huge. I mean, to get this win when nobody would have going into it, nobody would have given us the second look. Nobody would have thought we could do it. And then, oh, look what happens. And basically, Toronto had it coming. Oh, no sympathies. No. They had it coming. Yeah. They picked their poison. And it was us. I knew he was gonna go there. I stopped myself. I wasn't gonna do it, but I knew. Because I didn't quote the actual lyric, because the actual lyric is, I picked my poison and it's you. Nothing could kill me like you do. You're going straight to the moon. Now that it's straight for the edge. I picked my poison and it's you. I picked my poison and it's you. Yeah, but because I didn't do the actual proper lyric, I didn't go, but I knew there was a chance. Would Pluto go for it? And he did. But they picked their poison. They chose us, knowing full well they don't play playoff hockey, anything can happen. So, no sympathy. So, if Toronto fans want to look for sympathy, you ain't gonna get it for the purple trio. Get fucked. Oh, Pluto! Yeah, don't come cry to us. Talk to the poor because the base ain't listening. But you know what? Kiss my egg. Oh, lady! It's getting violent now. It's getting violent now. Oh my god. They chose us. Yeah, they chose us, and look what happened, they got knocked out. Yeah, so don't come cry to us, because we're not going to give you any sympathies, and I don't think anyone's going to give you sympathies. Like how we've not given the Big 12 sympathies about the fact that they got swept by Boston. No. So I bet the Big 12 are going to be even more determined to get a playoff win this year, just so that it can wipe the smug look off our faces. But anyway, so that is a lesson well learned though for going forward if the league keeps this system. Think carefully when you are choosing your semi-final opponent, because chances are they might prove to be a bigger test for you than you actually first thought. Toronto clearly chosen for right. We've whooped their backsides in the regular season series. They've had a 5-game regulation losing streak to end the regular season. All that they had at the start of the year is gone. Let's take them and we'll get to the finals easily. And then we basically were like, hold my soda! Hold my soda! Yeah. Hold my soda. Hold my diet soda, I should say. Yeah. Don't. Yeah. And just, think we're pushovers now, do you, Sepsis? Do ya? Especially if we have won this regular season series. Woohoo! Yeah. And won 2 out of 3 Toronto. I know we should be gracious in victory, but I'm sorry, I'm rubbing it in their faces for all I care. We did good against Toronto in the regular season this year. Come on! Come on! Still competitive series, but we were able to bring it to them this year. Yeah, we were able to bring it to this year, which is what we couldn't do last year. And also, that was our first ever win in Toronto. Yeah. Although I bet a lot of people would be going, yeah, it's playoffs, doesn't count. I know, that's why I was so keen to get that first game Toronto this year out of the way, so that we can then go, well, we've won it now. Yeah, and we did. We did 6-3, was it? Yes, it was our... Was it our first? Was it our first win or second win? No, I think it was our second win. I think it was we started the road trip in Boston and then Toronto. Ah, okay. That was the Twitch night. Oh, it was. That was the Twitch night. That was the... That Toronto game was the weekend where the PWHL decided instead we'll do the trusty YouTube, we'll go on Twitch. And I had to go, I don't know if I've still got my Twitch account! So, because you got it during COVID. I got Twitch during COVID because the NHL mascots had like a Twitch thing going on, so I was like, I thought it'd be a little bit of a laugh. And I couldn't remember if I still had it or not. Plus, in 2023, I also tried out for a few weeks as a replacement to Sessions Live after Sessions Live was banished and I got made redundant. Yeah. But it didn't last well. So I had to basically A, work out what my username was, and then B, reset the password. And you know what? I didn't remember it again either. Oh no. Yeah, what was that? No, that was the Twitch weekend. It was all stupid. Yep. Yeah. But still made quite an interesting Birds episode though, so hey, I'm not gonna reply. Any chance to get more content out on this. Yeah. But anyways, it was a really impressive and it was more frustrating than a lot of people. I think a lot of people probably thought it was gonna be Sneakers, and yet we made quite a series for KD. We made quite a series, yeah. Absolutely. And now the finals. Yes, the finals! Next time we get to recap the finals. But for now, for this show, the last thing to say is, in terms of this whole series, this Walter Cup Semifinals player series, it was Toronto 2 games, Minnesota 3 games. Reverse sweat the regular season champions.
I'll say this nice, tell it in a letter, stamp and mail it out. We did our best, couldn't have done better. I think we should be proud, but you helped.